live from the car on the way home from Dallas. But that are leading are so robotic and deceitful. It's just normal to them. They actually, many of them have been raised with that genetic history. That doesn't make it justified. In the in the United States and the Western world, so-called Western world, go west. See, the next level in 1927 and 1931, which is pretty much at the same time for the next level, to stimulate by depositing their mind pocket, that's a way of looking at it. That's like a pocket. Or another way of looking at it is like a pillowcase. Or a container that's literally installed, what Tiendo called deposited. They made a deposit in many human vehicles. We don't know how many. So to say that all people don't have souls is worthless. Well, I shouldn't say it's worthless, because Doe said that clearly in Doe's Final Exit. What I'm trying to say is, in my mind, a basis in logic, from my limited degree of logic understanding, because what does it matter whether somebody received that gift or not? As Doe also said in Doe's Final Exit, keep humans away from it. But if a human doesn't gravitate to it in some way, shape, or form by having separated from the human kingdom in their thoughts and to some degree behaviors, well, I mean, not to some degree, then they're not as open. Because when somebody's separating, they can't put their heart into the things that other humans that aren't separating put their heart into. They try this and they try that. They have a desire for doing this. They have a desire for doing that. And they find that when they get it, the desire or the dream of it is less, and they're separating the more they do that. In other words, and they're seeing, for somebody that comes up through Christianity, when they start asking certain questions of whatever we're going to find that they don't need, if they're honest, they're going to say, I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know why, why that's related to that which you automatically start to question. Like what did it mean that Paul was saying, there were roles to play? Now, women weren't going to be the speakers of the information. And that's the same mind that limited that was influenced by the lower forces to make a mockery of the fact that the next level above human didn't deny anybody anything because of their gender. That's a fact. That's a fact. Because, we can think that the highest, the ones that are given the most credit in the record books are the highest beings. Of course, that's the way the human kingdom has shaped it, and the lower forces behind them have shaped it, right? The ones that make the most money, the ones that have the most power over others and exercise it, to go to war, to fight. And the ones that are willing to kill for what they want, whether that's, and a lot of times that's like saying defense, but we know that other castle over there, has been showing signs of wanting to expand, they need more space, producing all those babies and everything. And so, maybe I want to look over here where this other castle is, and then they have boundary wars and stuff. They keep their distance. But, so those that are seen as most successful in a human way, wealth and power and influence and popularity and all the stratas up from the bottom of that, how it's built day in and day out. That's but the facts are that I've been saying this for a long time, and now I feel like I see it better than ever, which is the way it's supposed to be, that we keep on seeing it better than ever. I mean, supposed to, meaning that that's the direction that it's going to happen. As if we're asking the highest mind to come into our vehicles to occupy our mind with, then we're going to get the highest octane of mind. Octane, yes. I don't know, I'm not saying it's chemically octane, but it's got power. It's got, it's like a gas that's got power. And even concentrated, according to how much mind from the next level they have received. Because the mind from the next level is expressed to us through the sun. That's why it said in Revelation 12 that the woman would be clothed with the sun. And all that representation is clothed with the sun, which has the double reputation, the meaning of the sun's light, the greatest, the star, that all these planets are going around. And that was compared to being next level members, or like that. And so when it was depicted in Revelation 12 as being a woman, then why wouldn't it make sense that T is that woman? The mind of T is in that female vehicle, in that woman's body, and experiences all the things that human women experience, potentially. There's a whole bunch of, there's some things that are like equivalents in some ways, I think, of experiences that yield growth when they're conquered, when they're not letting it stop us. Whatever happens, we keep on moving on. You know, I mean, and there can be gaps of that for who knows how long. It's not for us to measure for people. Everybody can wake up to something more. I think that's a fact. I think that everybody has that capacity to wake up, to be get in the thread of, okay, all these things are happening. Holy smokes. Holy shit. Really? And if you're not feeling it to that degree, however that's expressed through tears and you know, raising your voice with the ones you love, you know, that's not like, it's not bad. It's desire to be something to work on, so that it doesn't, you know, have anger in it. And, you know, but yeah, there's going to be resistance between us. We're all going to have resistance between us, and the ones that are having the most resistance with each other can be a source of the greatest growth. Tiendo taught that. They said that if you could stand to be partners with Norodi, no, they didn't say it that way. Sorry, I take that back. Wipe that out. It wasn't stand to be with Norodi. But if you could stick with it, not give up on it, and the same for Norodi, if she could stick with that other person and not give up on them in terms of finding the medium, or, you know, the point to where there's no personal vendetta to get off our shoulders. We don't have to tell people what to believe, because they'll come to it if they have a thirst for it, whatever it is. Well, even that space alien mind, that's what these leaders are doing. They're giving their mind to the space alien mind. The space alien mind don't give a crap about humans unless they can be used for what they determine is their greater good. And their greater good is, it's like, it's phony. It's phony baloney. Good. And that's why they put that vibration out, that they are these higher beings, because their souls did grow to be a higher being, a being that has more next level mind in it. Simple as that. Took on more of the next level characteristics, kindness, gentleness, but also, you know, thoroughness, flexibility. Yeah, those are, well, service, of course. Want to be of the highest one is wanting to be of service to the older members, recognizing who the older members are, recognizing who knows more than they do. But even if you see somebody that knows more than they do, a member it doesn't mean anything relative to our ways of thinking. Everybody is who they are, and if they have qualities in this area, that's what kind of Paul was probably talking about. That everybody has their own qualities, and I mean, you could speak it like the way I'm doing, and that's a quality, but it's not the only qualities. Feeling it, and however we express that to the world is got quality to it. The same or better. Who knows? What the quality. The way that the next level looks at. Because you could be a preacher that what you're doing is just like repeating the keywords that you learned. And that's what I'm doing, right? But if those keywords are literally frequency objects of mind that are seeking to be connected by the vine, that's where the Jesus illustration came from. Between them and the blood is their mind. That is, it's what keeps everything powered. Everything becomes powered. The amperage that the body needs is being supplied. And the photosynthesis of converting the sunlight into force. A force that compels people to reach for it. Reach for whatever it is that they want to reach for. That could be to become somebody that is ruling the world, like Hillary Clinton wanted to do. She just wanted to run something. I'm glad she was honest in that. I didn't read the book. That was on the back cover. But see, but that's the mind from. I'm not saying she's evil because of this. I know, I'm no fan of that individual either. So, I've got a lot to say about that, but, some of it may not be true, and other things have kind of showed themselves that there is truth to it. Even though initially it was put out by QAnon, it was thought completely loony. And what's his name? Forgot. I shouldn't say what's his name. He's a real person. Maybe someday I'll meet him. Maybe I should go try to meet him. TNO went around and did that. Maybe I'm not being proactive enough, and that's what Kathy's picking up on. That there's something to do more than I'm doing. Think about that, because it feels right to me to be thinking about doing that, And so now the question would be how to do it, and to be pulling on the thread of that idea. In my mind, I'm thinking that idea is coming from Tian-Do, but I don't approve of that, except for my experience with it, and my experience with how they think, because I was in the training program for 19 years. So, but what that gives me, I think, is now that I'm actually experiencing the things that Tian-Do taught, I'm waking up to how little I knew at the time. But I was like a fish that was caught with the bait, and the bait was the truth. It's like an honor then for the fish to be caught, because there is no lies, there is no negativity, there is no deceit, there is no manipulation, there is none of that. Zero, zilch, is in any of the next level minds. That's what they tell you right from the beginning, that you will, the one instruction to reach for is to give your all to God, to the true God, the highest God you can think of. And that's why Jesus compared it to, out there in the heavens. Because it's actually a practical reality that they have frequency, they have command over the frequencies that we don't know anything about. And that's a reality. If you look it up in the sciences, you'll find out that they keep on learning new techniques to see different bandwidth that they weren't able to see before. The infrared was one, and then there's a couple other kinds of infrared, I guess. I don't know if it's according to the color spectrum, I think, like the spectrograph related. There's so much happening that we don't have the foggiest idea about. Mentally, in a way that we can describe it and identify it as reality, except when we get glimpses of reality. And the next level gives us glimpses. They're allowing the things to come out. They're forcing them out by their mind being still here, and they're working with all the people on the planet, potentially. Because everybody's got growth opportunity. It's not for us to judge others' growth opportunities. But we can definitely see that part of the growth opportunities is to speak our truth. Stand up for what we can put our heart behind, that we desire to stand up for, that we have to. We can't even not do it. We're compelled to. I don't know who that is. I picked up a passenger in Fort Worth today. A woman that might be about my age, just to describe the person a little bit. Living in a nice gated community close to the downtown. And she was doing charity work, I think related to her church, but she didn't talk about it as a church. And she was telling me about how the program that she was doing for children was taken away by Trump. Anyway, it turned out that she was from Amarillo. And so I just started saying, well, wow, I worked in Amarillo. And I told her about Astrologics, where I was doing astrology work. I didn't say anything about Tiendo, because I don't want to, it's too big of a conversation to have in a nonchalant way like that. And I could lose my job maybe, I don't know, if I did. So I don't go there. But, I mean, not that I never would. If I felt to, I've had people recognize me. At times, like before a meeting. But what I wanted to get at was that I told her that I worked for Chet, I think his name was Akins. And she knew him. She was young at the time.
There's an object on road ahead.
Younger than me, I think. Oh, I see that. There's an object on the road. I'm almost at my exit. So, and she knew about she knew Hugo's. She said, Hugo's used to be a nursery. So Kathy and I, we probably got to go up there. I don't know. But I think we need to do things more proactive. If you happen to be tuning in. We're working all the time, it's like, but if the next level wants us to do it, they'll help us do it. Anyway, I just was thinking out loud there, but none of us know in our lives what effect we can have on people. That's positive. But meanwhile, the influences don't like it. They don't like when people speak their truth. And, that doesn't mean they can't take advantage of it. They do like it. I shouldn't say it that way. Oh, I was going to go to Buc-ee's. Okay. I should have went the other way, but I can just turn around here and do that, because I do need to get gas. But, and the gas prices went up by 60 cents a gallon. from a low price that I was getting. I mean, there were people that were selling it for the price even more than it is now. It's $2.89 now. So they're going to probably start to warn me that I'm going the right direction from what I just was supposed to do. I'll leave that on. I think that's beneficial for me to have that when I'm, talking about things, because I can lose my navigational radar. Except for, it's going straight. So I don't know who's a better price. I guess. So the lower forces, they do want us to speak our truth also, and but they want to see if they can mold it to be looking to their mind more, and so that ends up taking a nebulous form, a theoretical form, but it has actions associated with it. But the actions are related to what they want to do, of course. Not, and so that's why it takes on Lucifer becomes the God, the only God, the one true God. That's what seems like that's why it goes in that direction. Because the individual thinks he is. In other words, he thinks he can know better than his older member, whoever his older member was, and it was probably T. But I never heard them say that. I don't think. I'll think about it though a little bit, because they might have said it. Well, they did kind of say that. I mean, there's a way of logically coming to that conclusion, while holding out for maybe being wrong about, that kind of interpretation. But I'm going to leave this running so that my stream doesn't disconnect and get some gas. So if I get cut off, because I need to use the restroom here, so, I mean, maybe I could, I don't know if I want to leave the stream on with the car running. I'm not off the car anyway, right? I get mixed up what I'm tapping into here. Let me look at this a second. No, I'm not on the internet with it. So I'm just gonna, leave it on, and I'm just gonna shut the car off. So if I do lose it though, I'll just restart the stream. Running back. Right back. I'll just actually take it with me. Going into a Buc-ee's. I don't know if you've all seen Buc-ee's people.
I'm gonna check you, see if you got feet, but I don't like it. I have no dustpan, y'all. Get a picture of that pen.
3, 4, 5. 5, big one.
The Buc-ee's has all this stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'm in a restroom. Beef jerky. Lots of beef jerky. Every kind of soda you can want. There's more of everything. How do I mute this? Okay, I'm back again. Leaving Buc-ee's. Yeah, we've got things.
I said, you know what another point is? He says, what? I said, that's this is the same as
Okay. Hello again. If anybody's still there, I'll check the... Woo, woo. Alright, DJ Bump. And greetings, Joseph Coates. Yeah, I've seen you here for a while. Good to see you. He said, I get what you mean by not being proactive enough. You have to want it, I suppose. Right, you have to want it. Yeah, and yeah, I mean, there's, yeah. That's with everything, right? I mean, it's obvious, but at the same time, you have to decide what you want, right? And so, and I guess, it's kind of hard to, hi Kathy Southwestern, Schoon, drive safely, Soyoti from Schoon, thank you. Appreciate that. I want to try to do that. Going shopping, yeah, I wasn't going to use the restroom. And hi Rainrot, good to see you too. And let's see, I'm 29 minutes away, because I'm at where? Kathy, Southwestern. Okay, I'm back on track with my directions. Yeah, okay. Oh, this is the back way to Buc-ee's. Where am I? Oh, I see what I'm doing, yeah. All right. Back with the glasses. I was trying to get at before was that whenever we take a step forward, then if we've been asking the next level for help in our own way, whatever that is, and to be of service really is the greater thing to be asking for. I mean, because service means that we're getting out of ourselves a little bit or more. We want to go in the direction of experiencing that selflessness, and that's why we could be attracted to the life of a monk. Male or female doesn't really enter into the gender of the term, even though nuns were, the female were considered to be nuns in a number of religions, right? They have the equivalent relationships. But see, the monks were elevated. The men were always being elevated. Yeah. So it's true. But what we don't understand a lot of times from that, in my opinion, is that this can seem like an excuse, but actually might be the ones that during the Jesus time and this could apply to throughout history, that can be like older souls, if you want to look at it that way, chose to reincarnate into a female vehicle at that time. This would match what Tiendo taught. I think in most of the ways, I'm not saying it's accurate, but it might be accurate enough to think of it that way, because they've taught that, that the object was to no longer be one being, two beings, two different beings, but joined together and become one being. So that was the one that was illustrated that way, because it would be the male and the female both have characteristics that provide overcoming. And because if somebody was of service to somebody else, they're learning, and they are happy with it. They're not being forced into service. That's a big difference. But they like being of service. I like being of service. It's something that I guess, I'm not saying that others don't, if they don't act like me. I'm not saying that. But, you can also, the lessons that T gave me were that I was a little too pleased with myself. And I like to be seen as something special. I don't think that's just me. But it's very important to look at those words, because T was very short-spoken. And you might think simple-spoken. But simple actually is more precise, more meaningful. It's less diluted. So it likes to be seen as something special. I remember debating that with myself. I remember after I left the group, because that's the only time I began to think about that. While I was in the group, I didn't know what that meant at all, except for the sarcasm part, that I was sarcastic with those in the human kingdom, that we were interfaced. The whole story that I told before. It's kind of like, and I was trying to correct people from using the four-letter words and yelling at the cooks, yelling at the waiters and waitresses, you know, and putting them down, and you know, like running the ship, because the cooks of a kitchen, you know, they even have names for them. I don't know what the name nomenclature is, but they got first cook, second cook, third cook, and you got a hierarchy. I guess it's like a lot of career, you know, things, right? You got your hierarchy. You got the presidents, and you got the managers, and the backers. It's another whole thing. So anyway, so the lower forces go against us, but so the, like, you know, that were in female vehicles during the Jesus time, like I used the example of when I forgot her name. I think it was Mary, but not the mother of Jesus' vehicle. But that just wasn't the person. I'm not sure who it was exactly. So if you're not looking it up, but I won't take the time to do it. But they had oil. They had olive oil. And they used it, they ate it, you know. And she wanted to use some to anoint Jesus. In other words, put in his hair. And she asked him if she could do that. And he said yes. And then some of the male students, that's what they all are, they're students, all of them. 5,000 of them. It's not split up by gender, even though Paul tried to do that. Anyway, but unknowingly did it, I think. So one of the male vehicle students said, that's not the right use of the. Why are you wasting that oil when you could actually you could sell it and then give food to the poor or something. Give to the poor. Lane, holy shit. Okay. And so Jesus said to him, she's doing it for my burial. You have the poor with you always. In other words, that individual was tuning into the reality of what Jesus was going through, and the others were kind of like off it. And that's why they needed that lesson step of being the ones that were writing down what Jesus said, and then, and they also knew that culture at that time was so patriarchal that they could actually survive, where women would be burned to the stake if they started going off on their own. They weren't even allowed to be on their own because they'd get raped. That was a good law, because the males were so primitive. I mean, there were so many that were primitive in that way. So all those that were abusing anybody is slow growers, if they were still growing at all. They were slow growers. They just weren't getting with it. That's why Jesus said that forgive them for they know not what they do. I mean, that's not easy to forgive somebody some of the things that humans do. But forgiving somebody and holding them responsible for influencing somebody else in that terrible way of like taking over children, becoming a pedophile, and justifying abuse and manipulations and even organ harvesting, because even if it wasn't happening at Jeffrey's website, they might have had space alien visitors sometimes. You know, physical vehicles, little grays, like was depicted in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. They made them look like children. But they've been described by some people as being small but having brilliant minds or intelligent, very intelligent, because they would be. Imagine the conversation you can have. But imagine that it wouldn't actually, I mean, to ask them about, you know, hey, what your spacecraft look like, you know? What are you driving there, man? You know, or a woman, or whatever you are. And silly, but yeah, it would be that kind of thing. You'd be in awe of the experience. No question about it, I would be. But Tiendo warned us in 1978. They said, if we leave before you leave, then we want to make sure that you're okay, and that if a spacecraft shows up acting like they're ready to pick you up, that you don't automatically go with them. And someone asked them, how are we going to know? And they said, you'll know. You'll know when it's the next level spacecraft. Because they've got their eyes on everybody that's reaching for them. They do. I have no question about that. And they have systems in place to handle all the grades in school, so that everybody in every grade in school can. Now I know people think, you know, oh man, you think you are the highest grade in school. Well, you know what? So what? So what? What are you doing? That's the thing. What are you doing with you know, who are you working for? How do you demonstrate that? Well, I guess it's in the eye of the beholder to determine. Because anybody can be shining the light of the next level to somebody else. Like I was saying before, talking about it is one thing, but it's not everything. But whatever we do talk about, learning to qualify ourselves, I think, is a good thing. Because, I could be wrong. It was a lesson step that I think we all can benefit from. And that was given to us, and there was a story behind it. It's like, let's say your older member, this is when T was in her vehicle, this lesson came up. So people can't claim that, don't go off track with it. There are people, former members, that have claimed that. I don't know if they still hold to that. And I take offense with it because there's no truth in it. No, literally, there's no truth in it. That dog got off track in any way. I can't find it. I'm willing to look at it, but I don't see anything. Because like Frank said, he wasn't controlling. He became less controlling the longer. There's evidence of that in the tapes. He wanted to be like what they call Professor Emeritus. I'm not sure I'm saying that word right. To where he would just be consulted for things that the students wanted to do. And he tried to do that, and then he realized that that wasn't his task. He needed to I made the turn! Hooray! Asking the next level for help is it means that you're you can just say it, but if you don't start to live it by keeping your feeler open to how, when, where, and to be of service. That's what they taught us in the beginning. They said, go town to town and test the churches to see if they'll live up to what Jesus said to do for the poor. Give people that don't have a coat, give them, and you had an extra one, then give them the extra coat that you don't need. He didn't say give away the coat that you're wearing. That wouldn't make any sense. But that's what some people have done to it, and they've been honored for doing that kind of thing, And they've been, showing themselves to be holy. That's what happens when somebody becomes a preacher and goes around preaching to the public, and even though they're like saying to everybody, look at me, I'm godly, look at me, I'm actually on track, I'm godly, I'm telling you how to live, what it says in this book about how to live, and if you don't do it, you're going to hell. It's like, holy smokes, what kind of brainwashing is that? And yet there's a basis for it. But that it's a process. Life is the process of desiring to have that mind in us. And, you know, everything that we do, we gotta work every day. You gotta work, you know, I work every day. Or every other day. Sometimes every day. And it's good to take breaks. I needed a break yesterday. After 3 days in a row, I think it was. I got up at, I think it was 5:30 maybe? 5 maybe? I don't know, 5 or 5:30. So I'm coming up on 12 hours by the time I get home. Actually, in 5 minutes. But it's having our feeler operating. That's what they told us. They said, we'll go to town, and when you come into a town, ask the next level in your mind, because all the numbers weren't with you in these cases, and where you can be of service, who you can go ask for help from. That was the method. You know, because you come into a town and there would be 6 churches, okay, sometimes. And so you wanted to go to where there might be some thirst for what you have to share. That was the reason for it, to test the churches. Because Tiendo knew that it would be a test of the churches in a number of ways to help and to be curious about what these individuals were doing. Because I used to say that I wanted to share the information that the 2 witnesses were back. Oh, I missed a turn. Okay. So now when I did that, because every individual did it on their own. We didn't do it out loud. We didn't do it as a group, like asking the next level or anything. There was no external form of prayer. That's what that is, really. The highest form of prayer is to ask the next level for guidance in our lives. And to help us, have their strength to get through the difficult times. And we got a lot of difficult times now because so much is coming to light. But they've been giving it to us for a long time in doses. And then we get big doses. So the feeler They called it the feeler. And it's kind of like thought about it as being, if I got this right, being the solar plexus area. Anyway, I don't need that on anymore. That you were feeling your way through choices, through actions, ideas. Ideas too. How does it feel? Does it feel like it's from the next level mind? We have the evidence of next level thinking through the records that Jesus left behind. Keep going. Go faster. So the lower forces, what they do is they try to keep you down. They try to get you off track from wanting to be led by Tiendo. You know, I mean, that's the way I see it. I'm not saying everybody's going to see it that way, of course not, because they're separating from the human kingdom, having never known about Tiendo. So, I mean, what are the forms of separating? Well, I think protesting, violence and stuff being done on people, like through the ICE protests. I think that's definitely a showing of a separating from and wanting to go along with that. You know, it's like when it's happening to us in our real lives, because, you know, we know the people or whatever, you know, we just have some association with what's happening, and we're, you know, that's the biggest kind of like sign of having the clearest relationship with what's happening and how to respond to it. Because you know that there's all kinds of things that happen with the people getting off track and being just as bad as the ones that they're protesting against. You know, like the use of violence and things like that. To me, that's not justified. I mean, I can understand it. The anger, sure. No question about that. And that'll take, you know, anyway. I'm here, so good night, folks. I'm sorry I didn't get to the... Well, looks like there's not much in the chat here. Actor Michael Merchant, nice to see you there. Canadian Gig Life Kelly. Oh, hi. How's it going? Well, yeah, I guess you guys know that I really can't pay attention to the chat, so good night, folks.